Hi again, I'm back with another video. First one for 2020 vision, the year 2020. And hopefully this will be a successful decade for a lot of people, myself included. Today's video is going to be a little bit of look back on stuff, collectibles that I've invested on or been gifted for free over the years for self-improvement and also to meet, date and attract beautiful women into my life. Now, I'm going to go through this one by one. So it's going to be a bit of a fun video. I'm going to explain what each product is, not how much I paid for it, but whether I bought it or whether I was gifted it, and whether it was useful or not. In most cases, it was a lot of the information was very fluff. A lot of good books though, good reading, but at the end of the day, a lot of it's pretty difficult to apply when you're out in person. So, let's begin. Now, the first item on the list are these two. Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Good book, a lot of useful information. You actually need some practical help though when you really want to conquer your fears. Reading about it and putting it into practice without any professional help is a very difficult thing to do. Let me give you the tip. I did buy this book, accompanied with this book. It's a little bit torn and tattered at the moment, but it's called The Little Book of Confidence by the same author, Susan Jeffers. So I bought that as well. It didn't cost me much as an extra to that first book I showed you. Once again, it's like having a little pep talk in your pocket. It's okay, but once you try and apply things once again in the real world, it gets a little bit tricky. But it's a good little book for a pep talk. Let's have a look at this. Interesting. Burnt this onto CD. It's called Alpha Male Mind Control and Pain Relief. Don't remember who it was from, but it was one of those. It's a subliminal, and it's meant to help you focus your mind on alpha male things, especially when it comes to moving forward in life and developing yourself and your mind and moving forward with things like developing your own business and giving you ideas and thinking along the lines of being very positive and advancing your mind into an alpha form. Now, pain relief, I don't recall much about the pain relief part of it, but I haven't listened to that for a long time. But I burnt that from somewhere. I don't remember where I got the link from, but it's burnt onto CD. Where shall I go next? Okay, this one. One of my subscribers on my channel has actually left some notes here. He borrowed it from me. He's a local guy here as well. This book, I bought it back in, would have been probably in the mid-late 90s, sometime, probably 1997. How to Succeed with Women by Ron Lewis and David Copeland. Useful book. It's one of the first books I bought in the genre for meeting and attracting women. Lengthy. Some useful tips here, especially on approaching women, but really when it comes to the gist of it, a lot of it is just things that you probably know already, and just little tips here and there, comparisons between what they call guys who are AFCs, or average frustrated chumps, versus guys who are taking action and getting things done by talking to every woman they meet. Is it practical? Possibly, but once again, it would need a lot of field exposure for it to work. They give you a lot of tips about where to go and meet women, grooming tips, style tips, but that's the gist of it mainly. And to be honest, it helped me a little bit, but in the end of the day, I don't think it really helped me that much. It's that book. Now, Accompany to that, this is interesting, the Mastery Program, your step-by-step course in meeting, flirting with, dating and seducing the women of your dreams by Ron Lewis and David Copeland. It's an audio cassette back in the day. This shows how far back we go, and you see all of that. It's double-sided tape, so day 1, day 3, 5, 7. Day 1, 3, 1 at the front, 2 at the back, 3, 5, 7, and so forth. It is a 32-day program, so it's a month-long program. You're meant to listen to one of these a day, and it's an accompaniment to the book I bought. So I ordered this in from the United States, and they shipped it to me. And it came with this Mastery Program workbook, so you record all your what you do from that tape series in the workbook. I've got my handwriting in there for the homework part. Yes, I did take this seriously. Tracking form, showing romantic interest. You've got to mark off each day. This is really, really basic stuff. You mark off each day what you've done and whether you were successful with it or not. The numbers game, homework. I've written things down there, as you can see. Interesting. It's just a tracker for that tape course, which is an accompaniment to the book. Did I meet any girls using this? Absolutely not. Robert Greene, The Art of Seduction, on recommendation. It's a very esoteric book. It's very heavy reading. It tells you about the different types of men and women and what characters they play to attract the opposite members of the opposite sex, and then it goes into how you can practically apply that from memory. Let me just see it tells you how to then. So the first part is the types of seducers, and the second part is the seductive process, which is also very esoteric in this book. Was there a part 3? No. Yes, there was. No, there wasn't. Okay. Was it? Yeah. So, The Art of Seduction. Did I find it helpful? It's too non-practical. It's good from a sense that it can teach you what type of person you are. If you're an anti-seducer or a seducer, and what type of seducer you are. But apart from that, applying the actual phases, the parts of phases of seduction, it's too esoteric, and there's not much practical information on that. It's a good read. Don't get me wrong, it's a long read. It's a good read, but treat it as a read only, and will it help you get women? Well, you'll need to really apply this esoteric knowledge into the field. My answer to that question would be no. And of course, with that, you saw this in my last video, Robert Greene, The 48 Laws of Power. A little better than the Art of Seduction, in my opinion. It is much more practical, a lot easier to read. It helps you. It helps you understand the essence of power and what you can do to get power and how people get powerful. But once again, when it comes to real life, it's very hard to put into place if a few things are missing in your life. So, good book to read once again, but very hard to apply. Now, this is going to go on for a while. We'll go back to Ron Lewis and David Copeland again. There's another one. There we go. So there's two things here. This came as an add-on to the Mastery Program, Overcoming the Nice Guy Syndrome, How to Stop Being Shy Without Becoming a Jerk by Ron Lewis and David Copeland. 4 tapes. Once again, helpful, probably more helpful than the Mastery Program for me. But once again, does it help me in the real world without any assistance to actually apply it? The answer was no. This one was probably a little bit more practical for me. The Internet Seduction Toolkit by Ron Lewis and David Copeland. So it came along once again with the mastery program. It all came as a package. It's actually very handy. It gives you canned lines that you can write to women and responses to things that they come back to, creating your own email responder, how you do that. I've actually used this and it's actually worked for me on a few times. I've had a few nibbles here and there with women online. I actually went on a couple of blind dates without seeing their pictures, and that's as far as it went with those women because they saw me in person. But yeah, it gives you like conversation techniques and you know, she says, he says, she says, etc. It tells you how to write internet personal ads that you can get consistent results with, how to find women online to flirt with, how to seduce women using emails, creating personal email responders, instant messages back in the day. So yeah, it was really practical in the time, and I actually did find some benefit from it. It did help me in terms of getting a few more responses on internet dating sites and getting a few more dates. But unfortunately, none of those that I recall led to anything past date number 1. And from memory, did I use a photo? I think I might have used a photo. Maybe not. I don't recall. But I do know that it did help me. It did help me get a few first dates, so that was good. That was one of the better things I had. Small little book. Comes a few interesting little items here. Men Are Better Than Women by Dick Masterson, male chauvinist. Not a practical book for picking up women, just a fun read. Interesting, but a little bit silly as well. He's a good guy. I don't mind his work, but not really for meeting women. Just explaining ways that he thinks men are better than women all over. So that's one. Short Rage, an autobiographical look at heightism in America. That was an interesting read. I just bought it out of interest. It was a very interesting read. So you can imagine by that title what they're going on about. And they use quite a few examples, and we see it in the world today, that a lot of short people getting the rough end of the stick, not just in the dating, sex and relationships, but all over and all around. And there was a case recently with the Bagel Boy in America. Yeah, that's a good example of this. So that was an interesting read. The System by Roy Valentine. So what this is, it says The System, How to Get Laid Today by Roy Valentine. It's a very practical method. It tells you what to look for. So basically it says, look the best you can, be the best you can. You're going to get rejected, etc., etc. But you scope for targets. You don't actually approach women cold. You look for you scan, you identify if they're looking at you and they're interested, and then you confirm that. You look back and it tells you there's 3 different types of girls. Girls will sleep with you right away, girls you need to date, and girls that you won't be able to date or sleep with, and how to find them and how to make contact. And it's all very practical book. Excellent book. If you get the signals, I would definitely say this is a good book to get. This is a good book to read. As long as you get signals, approach signals from women, this is probably your best book in terms of knowing how to meet them and then what to say and do to get them either into bed on the same day or same night, or to set up a future date with them. And it gives you actually ideas, what to do for dates if that's the way you have to go. And it also gives you recipes and all these wonderful things you can cook and do with women. So fantastic book if you get the signals, and it's a good read. Move it around here. Let's see a little later. Okay. Body Language by Alan Pease. Excellent book. This is one worth getting. This book will teach you exactly everything from personal space to differences in shaking hands, facial gestures, hand gestures, hand to face, hand to mouth gestures, how to tell if someone's lying, how to tell if someone's cocky, confident, overconfident, leg gestures, you're crossing your legs, and of course it gives you hints on group situations and situation dynamically where people are meeting each other and who's rejecting who and who wants to meet who and who wants to be with who and who's attracted to who. So it's an excellent book, very practical, and read it and understand it and learn it, because when you're out looking to meet people, new women, this will come in extremely handy. One of the best investments I made, this book. And it will teach you yourself how to actually improve your own body language and read others at the same time. So, excellent book, and I would definitely recommend getting it. Dr. Gordon Patzer, PhD, Looks, Why They Matter More Than Anything Else You Ever Imagined. Why They Matter More Than You Ever Imagined. Excellent book. This tells the truth, no holds barred, 100% truth about the reality of the world and how lookism dominates, and people judge you first and foremost on your exterior before they do your interior, and it's a yes or no. And it gives you examples of not just in dating and relationships, but also things like good-looking people making more money, having more successful lives in their careers, parents favouring better-looking kids, giving practical examples from the world. It's actually taught me a lot. And this is one book I absolutely related to in the content, because I can understand exactly what he was saying. He even gives practical examples at the end of the book about men and women who aren't so good looking and what they have to do and what they have to come to accept in this world. So it's basically saying, if you're not that good looking, you have to accept your limitations and do the best you can with what you got. Excellent book, and I'd recommend anyone in any part of the manosphere or in general in the real world to just go and read this. This is fantastic. It's a real eye-opening book. It will tell you a lot of truths that a lot of society wants to cover up. Eckhart Tolle, New Earth. Awakening Your Life's Purpose. Not really for meeting and dating women, but just in a general sense. I read it, didn't really relate to it. It's very esoteric. Probably wouldn't read it again, but it was fascinating. And probably, I don't think it was worth the value I paid for it. Oh, by the way, everything I've shown you at the moment has been paid for up till now. So I've been paying a lot of money for this stuff. I'll get to the unpaid stuff at the end. Female Chauvinist Pigs. Women and the Rise of Raunch Culture by Ariel Levy. Interesting read. It goes into things like Sex and the City and other parts of this kind of culture with women we see these days, and they talk about the sexual revolution, the women's sexual revolution, and what it's done and how it's allowed women to discover their inner chauvinist pig. A good read, very good read, very educational read, and I think it's a practical read for anyone in the manosphere if they really want to know female behaviour and how females operate and think in this current age. This book is a little bit of a goof book here. The Pickup Artist. It's not the Pickup Artist that you think it is. The Misadventures of a Male Chauvinist. It's about William David. It's a short little story about an Australian bloke who goes on a cruise and pretends to be the captain of the ship and picks up all the girls on the ship because they think he's the captain and he's got that high status. And he books the most luxurious cabin on the ship, right next to the bridge where the captain's steering the ship, the real captains, and he cons these women into believing that he's the captain, and he gets to sleep with all these women on the ship. It's quite a funny read. I had a lot of laughs, but there's a lot of truths to it. Let's be honest. women are attracted to high status men and men in commanding jobs. Yeah, that was just a good read. It was a fun read. It wasn't an expensive book. Didn't cost me much. I think it was about 20 Australian dollars. So it's a fun read. I've lent it out to a couple of friends, and they've also told me it was pretty accurate and fun. David Data, The Way of the Superior Man. Everyone says we need to read that. I read it. Did I relate to it? No. I found it too once again, very esoteric, very unapplicable. Maybe I'll reread it. I might go back and reread it sometime soon to see if I can get more out of it this time. But I know the first time I read it, and that was after the PUA boot camp, day game boot camp I did back in 2007. I was recommended this book on the boot camp, read it, didn't get much out of it. Very hard to apply. It's a good read, but apart from that, not much. I might go back, as I said, and reread it sometime soon. See if I can get more out of it the next time, the second time. Delay Guide by Tony Klink. How to seduce women more beautiful than you ever dreamed possible. Now, it's about finding places to go out and meet women. And then from memory, it's been a while since I've read this. And what you do with women that you meet, and that who you talk to. Do you talk to the pretty one or the unattractive one? Slipping in sexual innuendo, treating a girl like a dinner date is a great idea. It gives you tips and teaches any guy the proven techniques of the best pickup artists in the world. It's kind of like the Mystery Method, but not quite. A little bit of a cross between the Mystery Method and the How to Succeed with Women book I showed you earlier by Lewis and Copeland. It's a good book, but once again, I didn't achieve anything by reading it. Date Out of Your League for Men Only by April Massini. There she is. Very attractive woman. The blonde, the president, and the CEO. Now, it basically tells a man if he wants to date out of his league, he needs to scrub up, better fashion, better body language, be more confident, etc., etc. Same old useful or useless advice you want to, depends how you want to take it. Was I able to date out of my league after reading this book? The answer was no. And I tried to apply a lot of this stuff, and for me it didn't seem to work. So, no. Now everything is still being paid for up to this stage. The Game by Neil Strauss. Enough said, I think everyone knows about this. And to accompany that, The Mystery Method. How to get beautiful women into bed by mystery. Once again, that's just the Mystery Method as it appears in the game, but more technical and more practical, in a more practical and technical way. Gives you other things to say and do that is not really embedded in the story of the game. Basically, he's telling you that if you don't get this part of your life sorted out, your genes will be unapologetically weeded out, which is true. Was I able to get any success from it? The answer, once again, was no. Oh, it's a good book. It's a good read, of course, but that's about it. NLP workbook, not really for women, but for my own mental state. Learning NLP, anchoring, and all these wonderful techniques in psychology. Good book, practical, gives you exercises. Would recommend it for personal growth. Carlos Zuma, Approach and Flirt Women, How to Approach and Flirt Women, and Badass Body Language. Some practical tips in there. They're just audio CDs to listen to. Practical tips. I think they cost me about $9.95 each. Practical tips, but once again, it's up to you on how you apply them. You can apply them as much as you want, but if a girl's not having, any of what you are trying to tell her, or the body language you're putting out, well, there's not much you can really do to salvage that. So that's about all I have to say with those. Two CDs I burnt. One, both from Scott McKay. One was the Thundercat interview, and one was Secrets to Success with Women. Secrets to Success with Women for Shorter Men. So that was pretty practical for me. Some interesting stories and case studies in this. Very hard to apply it in the field when you're around bigger blokes, and I've been experiencing that once again in the last few weeks, trying to go out and meet women. It's been very tough, especially when you're one of, if not the smallest guy, going around in the bar. Yeah, it's useful information, but once again, it's very hard to implement in the field without some real strong belief in yourself. As a short guy, let me tell you, you need it. Of those two are actually for free. They're the first two free things I got from a friend of mine who used to work for Scott McKay in his business when I was back in my PUA days, back in 2007, 2008, 2009. Now, these were all the freebies I got after I did the PUA Day Game Bootcamp. So the company I did the bootcamp for, I did the bootcamp with, I should say, was Pickup 101. They're an American outfit based out of San Francisco. I paid $3,000 for the bootcamp, Day Game Bootcamp, to approach, meet, attract, and get rapport and numbers with women. I practiced this. I did the boot camp. On the boot camp itself, I got 2 numbers, both flaked. Practiced what they told me religiously. Did it exactly as they told me to do it for a year and well over a year and a bit. No results. Didn't meet women that way. Then one fine day, I was out with a friend, and he was chatting up a girl at a concert in the middle of town down in Darling Harbour, and she wasn't having anything to do with him, so I was bored, and her friend was bored, and her friend and I just started chatting, and we became friends, and we got into a relationship for a year and a half, which was totally non-sexual. So this was the first one I got. It's free. It was Instructor Roundtable. Eric Disco and Lance Mason, they're all free. 4 dates in 4 hours. They talk about how to get instant dates during the day. Kino, a guide to carefully touching women when you meet them. The Art of Seduction. An interview with Sean Stevenson. The Art of Seduction again. Daytime Hot Pursuit. Teaches you how to run after girls during the middle of the day, stop them, make their day, tell them they're cute, you tell them you just wanted to come over and say hi, otherwise you wouldn't be able to go home to bed tonight without doing that, etc., making a fool of yourself in public. What's this one? Ultimate Seduction. So those were all free after the boot camp. They mailed it to me once a month. I think they were about 6 months worth, 1 or 2 a month, I don't recall, but they were all free. And finally, a friend of mine gifted me 2 of these. 1, 2. He was into the pickup industry as well. The Cliffs List Convention from 2005, the world's greatest seducers, pickup artists and dating experts reveal their secrets for successful women. So it was 10 CDs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once again, a lot of ego stroking in these DVDs, telling you what they do, what they like to do, and how they meet women. But unless you're actually them, it's very hard to apply what they do. You've got to be them to apply what they do. It was free, so I took it from my friend. He gave it to me as a gift. He didn't want them. He was involved in the pickup industry as well, but he didn't want them, so he passed them on to me. Did I get anything out of them? Well, maybe. I learnt that PUAs are big egomaniacs and like to get on their high horse and think that their method will work for everyone they teach it to. And in truth, it most likely won't. It will work for them, but each guy is different. So each guy needs to find his own way of doing things. Now, going on about each guy finding his own way of doing things, I was in a conversation tonight with my mate not from the United States, but from Sydney, and I've been a mate of his once again for a long, long time. I can hear his wife and kids in the background. He was telling me, he says, you're going to have to take action now. He thinks, he says, I've got to take action straight away because it'll be too late otherwise, if it's not already. But he seems to think that the only way forward for me is to, look for girls my age, at mid-40s and up, into early 50s, which I told him I really didn't want to do. But he said, I know it's tempting because you go out and you see all these young, beautiful girls with hands in hands with guys, but he said, for your age, you're going to need a lot of money, and you are going to need to meet them away from their friends and away from their guys, and then you'll have to pass the friends filter and the guy filter as well in their group. So he seems to think that it's not going to work at that age. And he seems to think that, unfortunately for me, it's not going to be what I want to get in terms of a woman, the woman I'm looking for. He says, just find companionship. I said, look, I'm not after companionship. I'm not after a relationship. I'm after a good time and a bit of fun and maybe some sex. And he said, he says it's going to be tough. He told me this straight away. He says it's going to be tough. He says my best bet is to just swipe on every single girl, get onto those apps like Tinder and Bumble, and just swipe to every single girl on there, whether they take your fancy or not, and see how much comes back. He said it's the only way you're going to meet girls. He says you can go up to them during the day like you used to. He said, but it's going to be a lot of work and you're going to get a lot of rejection once again. Now I ask you guys, and I want your comments, please. Whoever's watching this video, I get views, but I don't get comments. I want comments, please. Should I go back and dump some more money on products like I've shown you tonight, or boot camps, or whatever it is, or books, tapes, CDs, whatever it is, DVDs, to try and get this part of my life sorted out? Do I go on to these dating apps, Bumble, Tinder, and swipe and swipe and swipe my life away and hope that someone I'm remotely attracted to, and goodness knows that probably won't happen, who knows, but someone that I'm even remotely attracted to physically swipes on my profile and says yes. Now, I have been in relationships before, and these girls, the girls I've been in relationships before, they were nice girls. They were beautiful, not beautiful in the physical sense. They were lovely girls, great girls, caring girls. One of them had manic depression severely, and one of them was asexual with me. But they were, they really didn't, they didn't do it for me. In other words, I couldn't, even if I wanted to, sometimes I just couldn't get the deed done. It was a lot of pain trying to get the deed done, and so much so that the one that was having sex, was having that with me, was doing the deed with me. She even told me. She said, you're not attracted to me, are you? I said, why do you say that? She says, I can tell because it's not functioning. And that was when I was in my mid-20s, and it was functioning, just not functioning with her. I guess, I know at the same stage it's the same for women. Women will say, it's the same thing with unattractive men. That's why we won't be in a relationship with an unattractive man, because, we can't get our rocks off with him. We can't have the fun we have with more attractive men. But where does it leave people like me, and not just blokes like me, but also women at our level? I mean, I go out every day, and the city I live in is full of beautiful people, beautiful women, very attractive, alpha males, chads, as they like to say in the incel community. you know, you're constantly with your partner. I'll be honest with you, when I was going out with the first girl that I was going out with, the manic depressive, we were walking down the street one night, and the guy looked at us from a shop on the street. He was laughing at us. I'm like, look at this couple. Obese fat girl with the short bald guy. Oh my gosh. He was having a laugh. And to be honest with you, you know, I really don't know where I can go. I honestly do not know where I can go. Will I be able to attract a partner that I'm attracted to, or will I just have to make do with that and unfortunately burn the wick at both ends? And if I want someone that I'm actually physically attracted to, have to go and pay for it. There's no guarantees paying for it will get me the results either. I've had women I've paid for it sit there with their legs crossed the whole time, not even wanting any action with me. So I really don't know. Once again, if you're watching this, please comment. Please give me ideas and tips on where to go in my life at the moment, with this part of my life. I keep getting the same stories over and over. Yeah, I just don't know. We shall see. Maybe I need to throw more darts at a dartboard again and see what lands. But anyway, thanks for listening again, and you have a good night. Well, it's night here, but you have a good day or night wherever you are. Thank you.